Hello everybody, how's it going? I've been musing about the passage of time quite a bit lately, and especially about full-time jobs outside of art, and how it impacts me as an artist. And before we jump into that, today's B-roll is me putting together a little avatar. I've been wanting to do that for quite a while, since I haven't felt like putting a camera in my face lately. That may change again, but hey, now I have these. Drawing the different poses and parts was quite fun, but the exporting of all the different variations was a pain. And in true artist fashion, the moment I declared them done, I thought of more poses. But I've got a convention to prep for, so that'll have to be a someday. So in 5 to 8 business years. So, being an artist and having a day job, commonly referred to as the 9 to 5, though my job is more of a 6 to 3, including lunch break and hour collecting so I can go home earlier on Fridays. But I think 9 to 5 is a great stand-in for the idea here. Let's concentrate on the more important parts. I'm sure we all know the meme about all the stuff we want to do once we are done with work. And by the time we're home and could do them, we are too drained to do anything but watch funny cat videos on the internet. It's funny cause it's true. Let me just say, I do not aim to become a full-time artist. That is not my goal at all. I do not want to have my livelihood rest on my creative batteries. That is a recipe for disaster. I want the freedom to not draw and write for a month for the sake of a video game and not write about how to put food on the table during that time. I don't want to burn out my passion, especially not in this economic climate. So in a way, even if my art or writing were to pick up at some point, I would still like to have a part-time job, keep a foot in the door so to speak, because nothing lasts forever, and have that security to swing back into what is normal for the vast majority of people. However, having a job outside of my passions also has drawbacks for sure, and a lot of you do know what I mean. A full-time job requires a lot of time and energy, it's in the name, full-time, and every workday. And that is time and energy not spent on my projects. Let's look at it this way. Say we divide the day into 3 equal parts. Ideally, one of those parts is spent sleeping, because rest is important after all. Another is allocated to working the day job. Again, this is an ideal version in which no overtime occurs, so in theory, that leaves 8 hours of doing what you like. Great. Well, the theory doesn't hold up, as I'm sure you know well enough. In my particular case, those 8 hours contain things like commute, grocery shopping, cooking, keeping the house somewhat in order, taking care of pets, personal hygiene, winding down, battling the imposter syndrome, and after all of that, maybe some art and writing. For some, there are additional things eating up their time and energy. I'm not in the worst of positions here, but still, after a draining day at the office, there sometimes simply isn't a snowball's chance in hell that I'm sitting down to draw. That is one of the reasons why advice like draw every day to improve or build a daily drawing habit just isn't working for me, and probably for a lot of you as well. There are problems with that advice anyway, in my opinion, but for the average person with a day job, it's unlikely to work out long term to begin with, especially if earning a living as an artist isn't the goal. Now, I don't have a creative job. I'm an accountant, I keep books, and I like it, most days. It's not necessarily a passion of mine, but I'm far from hating it. Something that not everybody can relate to, I know. And I hope that those of you stuck in jobs you actively dislike can find something better suited for you. But for me, it was important to have a full-time job that is on the other end of my creative endeavors. Something like a studio job doesn't sound very appealing to me these days. For one, I've heard enough stories about abysmal working conditions, and for another, I don't really want to work on others' projects. I want to draw my OCs, my blowbows. A little side tangent, I'm either getting old or I'm finally not terminally online anymore. It took me way too long to understand the term blowbows, but then I was never really one for Tumblr anyway, so it might not mean anything either. Having an income independent from my drawing and writing abilities gives me much more room to experiment. I don't have to draw what's popular, what sells, what brings in views or engagement. I can focus on my own little world with my original characters, or not, if I don't feel like doing that. I can draw something else or go play a game. My ability to put food on the table for myself and my cats is not impacted by this decision. And if you go to some very popular Instagram artists and scroll their page, chances are they draw very similar looking things over and over again. Kudos to those who manage to do this and succeed in the algorithm with it. Personally, I'd get bored out of my mind. I like a challenge once in a while, and it might take longer, because I'm not used to a medium or different approaches. But then other times I just fall back on my comfort characters and tried and true methods of drawing them. And I like this freedom of just going with whatever I want to try out when I feel like it. That is one of the reasons why I stopped offering commissions, to be honest. The site showcasing the different types of commissions I offered is still there, but it has basically been permanently closed over the past 2 or 3 years. I don't really want to clutter my spare time with work for others when I've got enough in my head to get out on paper. Sure, the money is nice, there's no point in arguing there, but money isn't everything, which is something I'm aware is becoming a more and more privileged viewpoint to have. I don't think anybody is truly untouched by the comparison monster. We are primed to see things and how it contrasts to our own lives. For me, it's often the speed and volume that I see full-time artists create with. Yes, the art is beautiful too, but more often than not, it's not something I personally want to focus on, so I can enjoy the beautiful art without pangs of jealousy. But having the majority of the day blocked by not doing what I want and coming home mentally exhausted most days, does really hamper the speed I create with. In turn, when I see a lot of productive people on social media, I do get jealous. Sure, social media is a curated thing, but they still have to make those things. I mean, often it's their job, that's how they make their living. Of course, they need to dedicate their time and effort accordingly, and I know that it is far from an easy job too. These artists work hard, both on their art and the presentation they give it. However, that doesn't mean I don't have ambitions to draw and write a lot. I just don't have the same amount of time I can allocate to it. And that's something I need to balance better on the whole. Also, winning the lottery might be an option, though I'd have to play first. Having a full-time job, balancing that with ambitions of time-intensive hobbies, can easily lead to overworking. Personally, I really struggle to create pockets of downtime for myself. Possibly because checking off an item from my to-do list is quite the serotonin boost, and having it done means it's not going to bother me again later on. As is certainly an extension of the comparison monster of wanting to achieve things fast, but at the end of the day, this is just a tired brain in a spent flesh suit. And this hits me hardest out. The beginning of the year is a stressful period in accounting, especially when the fiscal year aligns with the calendar year. There are tons of deadlines every day, which result in working overtime. It's an unbearable. I walked into this with my eyes wide open. Got nobody but myself to blame for this. And yet, the beginning of the year is also when New Year's resolutions are most diligently followed until they fizzle out. So for me, it feels like watching people making these really big strides, be that with art or personal betterment, while I feel stuck in place, unable to put one foot in front of the other. Coupled with the timely arrival of SAD, seasonal affective disorder, makes for a wonderful brain soup. And I've got to say, ever since the days got longer again, and I've had more time on my hand, the brain space has improved. Weird. I'm sure people with periodically stressful jobs can relate to this. I don't really have any advice on how to balance a creative hobby with a day job, as the things I've tried so far have had varying results. None of them really satisfactory long term. I just muddle through most days and try not to beat myself up too much. But hey, if you have anything, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear your strategies to cope with life. So go forth and conquer. Kapla! Yes, I'm signing out in Klingon now, cause I figured why not. I mean, have you seen me giving my little avatar Star Trek earrings, specifically Voyager Combat earrings? I need to see if they are a thing IRL, to be honest. Anyway, like, follow and subscribe if you like to listen to my ramblings. See you.